The knock at midnight, the night was silent. Cold wind moved across the broken metal walls of the human shelter. Inside, the soldier sat alone, cleaning his rifle with slow hands. The war had taken everything from him. His squad, his friends, even his sleep. Now he lived in this small corner of a ruined alien city, waiting for the next order. Waiting for the next fight. Then he heard it. A sound that did not belong to the night. A knock, weak but steady. Against his metal door, the soldier froze, his hand tightening around the rifle. No one should be here, not at this hour, not in this place. He stood up slowly, every muscle tense. Another knock came, this time softer, almost like a plea. The soldier moved to the door, his finger near the trigger. "Who is there?" he called, his voice hard. For a moment only silence answered, then came a whisper, broken and trembling. "Please. Open just one night, feed my children." The soldier's breath caught. It was not a soldier's command, not a spy's trick. It was the voice of someone desperate. He unlatched the small viewing panel and looked outside. There she stood, an alien woman, her skin pale in the moonlight, her eyes wide with fear. Her arms held two small children close to her chest. They were thin, their faces hollow, their bodies shaking from hunger and cold. The soldier stared at them, his chest heavy. The war had painted all aliens as enemies, but in this moment they did not look like enemies. They looked like a mother and her children fighting to stay alive. Still doubt burned inside him. What if this was a trap? What if the woman was only bait, and soldiers waited in the shadows to kill him the moment he opened the door? His hand gripped the rifle tighter. His mind shouted caution, but his heart whispered something else. The mother raised her eyes, tears shining in them. "Just one night," she begged, her voice breaking. "My children. They will not see the morning if you turn us away." The soldier's chest ached with conflict. He remembered the times when his own people had begged for food during the early days of war. He remembered how the enemy had refused them, how mercy had been crushed under boots. Could he now do the same? Could he close the door and pretend he never saw them? He swallowed hard and pulled the door open. The cold air rushed in, carrying the scent of dust and smoke. The mother gasped softly, as if she had not believed he would truly let them in. The children stumbled inside, their tiny feet dragging across the floor. The soldier closed the door quickly and locked it, his eyes still scanning the dark street outside. No soldiers, no shadows moving, only silence inside the shelter. The children sat on the floor, staring at the soldier with large, hungry eyes. He placed a small ration pack before them, his last spare meal for the week. The children tore it open and ate quickly, their hands shaking. The mother sat close to them, tears slipping down her face as she watched them chew every bite. "Thank you," she whispered, voice low and tired. "You saved them tonight." The soldier said nothing. He only watched, rifle never far from his hand. The sight of them eating stirred something inside him that the war had buried long ago. A memory of laughter, of warmth, of family, things he thought he would never feel again. But doubt did not leave him. Why had she come here? Why risk so much to knock on a human soldier's door? There were whispers among the men that some alien families acted as spies, luring humans with pity before delivering their location to enemy forces. Could this woman be one of them? As the night stretched on, he kept his eyes on her. The children soon fell asleep, their heads resting on each other's shoulders. But the mother stayed awake, her gaze drifting across the room. Every time her eyes landed on him, there was no hate, only sorrow. It unsettled him. Enemies were easier to face when they carried hate, not when they carried wounds. The soldier leaned back against the cold wall. The silence between them was heavy. He wanted to ask her questions, who she was, why she had come, how she had survived. But he held his tongue. The war had taught him that words were dangerous. Sometimes silence kept you alive longer than truth. Still, in his heart, he felt something shift. For the first time in months, he was not completely alone. For the first time, the shelter felt like more than just a cage waiting to be burned. It felt alive, and that thought frightened him more than the knock on the door. The night outside grew darker. The soldier sat with his rifle across his knees, his eyes fixed on the mother and her sleeping children. In the morning, he told himself, he would decide, send them away or keep them hidden, trust her or treat her as the enemy. But deep inside, he already knew. The choice had been made the moment he opened the door. And though the night was still, he could feel it. This was only the beginning of something far larger than mercy, something that would test him in ways the battlefield never could. Shadows in the shelter, The first light of dawn had not yet broken. Inside the small metal shelter, silence ruled. Only the slow breaths of the sleeping children filled the room. The human soldier sat awake, his rifle resting across his knees, his eyes never leaving the alien mother who leaned against the wall. She had not closed her eyes the entire night. Her face was calm, but her hands told another story. They twitched now and then as if remembering pain. The soldier noticed marks on her arms, thin, burned scars that ran like broken lines. They were not from hunger or cold. They were marks of violence, of chains and punishment. The soldier's thoughts sharpened. Was she truly only a mother, or was there more hiding behind those tired eyes? He had seen spies before, men and women who played the role of victims until the knife was at your throat. He studied her carefully, waiting for a mistake. The woman looked back at him at last, her voice soft. "You did not sleep." The soldier's jaw tightened. "Soldiers don't sleep easy," he replied. Her eyes lowered, but her lips pressed into a bitter smile. "I know," she whispered. "I was once among soldiers too." The words struck him like a hidden blade. His grip on the rifle tightened. "Which soldiers?" he demanded. She raised her scarred arm, turning it so the light of the small lamp revealed a mark. It was faint but clear, a burned symbol of her own people's army. The soldier's chest grew heavy. So she had been one of them once, the enemy. The ones who had destroyed his squad. The ones who had hunted humans without mercy. Before he could speak, she leaned forward, her voice trembling. "They called me traitor when I refused to kill the weak. They broke me, they burned me, and they cast me aside with my children. I am not their soldier anymore." The soldier did not answer. He watched her with cold eyes, trying to read the truth from her face. Her children shifted in their sleep, their small hands clinging to each other. He could not imagine them as spies, but he could imagine a desperate mother saying anything to protect them. "Why come to me?" he asked at last. "There are hundreds of doors in this city." Her reply came without hesitation. "Because the others would have closed them." She raised her gaze. "Steady now. But I heard of one human who gave bread to a dying child, months ago when the commanders were not watching. You." The soldier's heart lurched. That night was supposed to be forgotten. He had given food to an enemy child who later vanished into the ruins. He had thought no one saw him, but this woman had, and she had remembered. He turned away, his breath heavy. The war was not meant to leave space for kindness. And yet his small act had followed him here, bringing this mother and her children to his door. The woman's voice dropped to a whisper. "I know paths beneath the city," she said. "Paths your commanders do not know. I can take you where their soldiers fear to go." Her words hung in the air like smoke. Paths beneath the city, hidden tunnels, secrets that could turn battles, or kill him if she lied. The soldier studied her long, her scars, her trembling hands, the weight in her voice. He wanted to believe her, but belief was a dangerous thing still. Something inside him shifted again. If she spoke the truth, then she was not only a beggar at his door, she was a key to survival, maybe even a key to ending this endless war. Before he could answer, a sound outside broke the silence. Boots, heavy boots marching across the rubble-strewn street. The soldier moved quickly. Dousing the small lamp, the children stirred, but the mother pressed her finger to her lips. They listened. Voices outside barked orders, harsh and sharp enemy patrol. They were close, too close. The soldier's blood turned cold. He motioned the mother and children toward a hidden panel in the floor. She hesitated only a second, then obeyed, lifting the loose metal plate. Beneath it was a narrow crawl space, dark and filled with dust. The children crawled inside first, then the mother, her eyes wide with fear but silent. The soldier lowered the panel back into place just as fist slammed against the outer door. "Open," the voice roared. "By order of command, every house will be searched." The soldier's pulse thundered in his ears. His hand gripped his rifle, sweat sliding down his back. If they found the alien family, it would be death for all of them. The knocking grew louder, metal rattling with every strike. The soldier stood frozen, his choice pressed against him harder than ever. He could open the door and risk discovery, or resist and bring fire upon his shelter. Beneath the floor, the children's breaths were fast, shallow, frightened. The mother's hand pressed against the wood, steady but desperate, as if silently begging him to hold firm. The soldier raised his rifle, his shadow stretching long in the pale dawn light. The knocks turned to pounding. Voices shouting threats. He steadied his breath. The war was no longer outside. It was inside his small shelter. Inside his choices, inside his heart. And as the door shook under the enemy's fists, he knew one thing with certainty. The moment he opened it, everything would change forever. The mother's secret. The pounding on the metal door finally stopped. Boots shuffled outside, voices muttered curses, then faded into the distance. The soldier did not move for a long time, his body rigid, sweat dripping from his brow. Only when silence returned did he let out the breath he had been holding. He tapped twice on the floor panel. A signal. The hidden cover lifted and the mother crawled out, pulling her children with her, their faces pale with fear. The children clung to her, trembling. The mother's eyes glistened as she looked at the soldier. "You saved us," she whispered. Voice shaking, the soldier said nothing, only lowered his rifle and checked the door. But his thoughts raced. Why had he risked himself for them? Why did he not push them out when the danger grew? The war had turned men cold, but inside him something still burned, and he could not kill it. The mother sat on the floor, holding her children close. She looked weaker now, as if the strength that kept her alive through the night had finally left her. But then her voice rose again, soft yet firm. "You should know why I came to you," she said. The soldier turned sharply, eyes narrow. Her words carried a weight heavier than the silence. She lifted the fabric of her sleeve, exposing her arm. The scars were clearer in the pale light of dawn. Not only burn, but carved marks, symbols burned into flesh. "Your people think all of us are the same," she whispered. "But I was punished for helping humans. They branded me a traitor." The soldier stared at the marks, each one a story of pain. He had seen cruelty before, but this was different. This was cruelty given to one's own. The soldier lowered his rifle slightly, still wary, still cautious, but something in her eyes refused to let him look away. "Why tell me this?" he asked. The woman held her children tighter, her voice almost breaking. "Because secrets die when they stay hidden," she said. "And I cannot carry this one alone anymore." She leaned closer, lowering her voice until it was barely a whisper. "There are tunnels beneath this city, tunnels built before the war, when our ancestors feared the sky, not each other." Her words painted shadows in his mind. Tunnels, hidden paths unknown to human command. She spoke as if she had walked them many times. And then she leaned even closer, her eyes burning. "They hide something," the soldier frowned. "What kind of something?" The mother's hands trembled, her voice unsteady but certain. "Old machines, weapons, forgotten by both sides. They were sealed long ago. But I know where they sleep. If you trust me, I can take you there." The soldier's blood ran cold. If she spoke the truth, she carried knowledge that could shift the balance of war, knowledge that could kill thousands or save them. But if she lied, then she was leading him into a trap darker than any battlefield. The children stirred, pulling at her sleeves, whispering softly in their own language. The soldier could not understand the words, but he understood the fear in their voices. They did not want tunnels. They wanted food, safety, light. But their mother looked past them, her gaze fixed on the soldier. "You let us in," she said, voice steady now. "That means you are not like the others. And because of that, I will give you the truth." The soldier's chest tightened. Truth, a dangerous word in a world built on lies and orders. His commanders would demand she be turned over at once, interrogated until her secret spilled. But something in her voice told him she would die before she spoke to them. And if she died, the tunnels would die with her. For a long moment, silence pressed between them. The soldier stared at her and she stared back. Unflinching, two enemies yet bound by something deeper than orders, something neither of them had asked for. Finally, the soldier spoke. "Show me," the mother's breath caught, relief flashing in her eyes, but it was not victory, it was burden, as if sharing her secret had placed a new weight on her shoulders. She nodded slowly, her hand brushing her children's hair. "Not today," she said. "The patrols are thick. The air is dangerous. But when the night returns, I will take you." The soldier turned away, his heart beating faster. All his training told him this was madness. To follow an enemy woman into tunnels no human had walked. To trust the word of someone branded traitor by her own people. But deep inside, a fire lit. Curiosity, hope, or perhaps just the hunger for something beyond endless waiting. The mother closed her eyes, pulling her children close as they drifted back into restless sleep. The soldier sat by the door, rifle in hand, his mind restless outside. The ruins groaned under the rising sun. The war above raged on, unseen but never forgotten. But inside the shelter, a new war had begun, not of guns or fire, but of trust and choice. The soldier knew the coming night would not be like others. It would be the start of a path that could save or destroy them all. And as he looked at the sleeping children, he realized the truth he feared most. His choice was no longer just about survival. It was about what kind of human he would be when the war finally ended. The chase the night returned heavy and restless. The city above groaned with distant explosions. The sound of war never far away inside the shelter. The soldier waited with his rifle across his lap. The mother stood near the corner, her children close to her legs, their small hands gripping her clothing. The promise of the tunnels weighed in the air, unspoken yet powerful. But before they could move, boots thundered again outside, this time not a patrol passing by, but many. The soldier's heart jumped. The enemy was sweeping the district, their voices loud and sharp. They were searching house by house. No one would escape their net. The mother's eyes widened. Panic flashing across her face, she whispered in her language to her children, who clung tighter. The soldier moved quickly, grabbing the hidden floor panel. "Inside now," he hissed. The children obeyed, crawling into the crawl space, their small bodies vanishing into the darkness. The mother followed, her hands shaking, her eyes fixed on the soldier as if begging him not to close the panel. But he lowered it anyway, covering them with silence. The door shook violently, fists hammering against the metal. "Open!" By order of command, surrender or be burned alive. The soldier's blood ran cold. They would not wait long. He pressed his back against the door, thinking fast. If they forced their way in, they would find the family. If they found them, all would be lost. He raised his rifle, aiming at the door. But then another thought came. If he fired, the noise would bring the entire patrol. Dozens of soldiers, maybe more, no escape, no survival. The metal hinges screamed as the door shuddered under a heavy strike. The soldier's jaw clenched, sweat sliding down his neck. He needed another way. His eyes darted around the shelter, landing on the narrow vent above the storage crates. It led out into the alley behind, barely wide enough for one man, but maybe enough to escape. The pounding grew louder, voices shouting. The soldier grabbed his pack and crawled toward the vent. But he stopped. The family. He could not leave them trapped. He ripped the panel open again, pulling the mother out by her arm. Her children followed, frightened and wide-eyed. "We run," he whispered now. There was no time for questions. He pushed them toward the vent, lifting the children one by one, forcing them through. The mother squeezed in after them, her body twisting to fit through the tight space. The soldier climbed last, his boots scraping metal. Behind them, the door finally crashed inward. Enemy soldiers flooding into the shelter. Shouts filled the room, but it was already empty. The vent opened into a ruined alley. Cold air struck their faces as they tumbled out one by one. The mother pulled her children close, but the soldier grabbed her arm, urging her forward. "Move," he hissed. They ran through the narrow streets, rubble crunching beneath their feet. But the enemy was fast, voices echoing through the alleys. The sound of boots growing closer. The soldier fired a short burst from his rifle behind them, sparks lighting the night. The shots did not stop the chase, but they slowed it. The mother led them left, then right, darting through broken walls and shattered buildings. She seemed to know the city's bones better than anyone. The soldier followed, dragging the children when they stumbled. But the enemy was not far, their shadows stretching across the walls. A flare exploded above the city, bathing the ruins in red light. The soldier cursed under his breath. They were marked now, visible in every direction. The children whimpered. The mother gasped for breath, but still they ran, step by step, corner by corner, until at last the mother stopped before a half-collapsed archway. She dropped to her knees, brushing rubble aside with frantic hands. Beneath the stones lay a metal hatch, rusted but still sealed. She looked up at the soldier, desperation burning in her eyes. "This way," she cried. The soldier fired another burst at the approaching shadows, then dropped beside her. Together they pulled the hatch open. The metal groaning loud in the night. One by one the children slipped inside. The mother followed, vanishing into the dark. The soldier entered last, slamming the hatch shut above them just as the enemy rounded the corner. Silence swallowed them. Only their ragged breaths filled the tunnel below. The soldier lit a small lamp from his pack. The faint glow revealed walls carved with strange alien symbols. glowing faintly as if alive. The children pressed close to their mother, whispering in fear. The soldier stared at the endless darkness stretching ahead. The mother's voice broke the silence. "We are safe for now," she said. "But once you enter these tunnels, there is no turning back." The soldier tightened his grip on the rifle, his heart still pounded from the chase. But as he looked down the tunnel, he knew the truth. This was not escape. This was the beginning of something far more dangerous. Into the tunnel was colder than the night above. Moist air clung to the soldier's skin as he held the lamp high. The faint glow revealed walls etched with strange alien symbols. Glowing faintly as if remembering another age, the children pressed against their mother. Their small hands trembling, the soldier walked ahead, rifle ready, every step echoing like thunder in the silence. The mother's voice whispered behind him. "These tunnels are older than both our peoples. They were built when my ancestors feared storms that came from the sky." Her words filled the space like ghostly breath. The soldier did not answer. He only scanned the dark corners, his instincts sharp. War had taught him that danger did not sleep, especially not in forgotten places. The path twisted left, then right, always deeper. Strange markings pulsed with faint light whenever they passed, as if the walls were alive. The soldier touched one briefly with his glove. It vibrated softly, a hum beneath the stone. He pulled his hand back quickly, uneasy. Technology, older than anything humans had seen. Technology that had been sleeping in silence until now. The children whispered, their voices small. The mother hushed them gently, her eyes never leaving the soldier's back. He noticed her silence more than her words. Every step she took seemed deliberate, as though she was guiding them to something she both feared and needed. The soldier began to wonder if he was following her, or if the tunnels themselves were guiding them all. At last they came to a wide chamber. The roof soared high, lost in shadows. Stone pillars rose from the ground like the bones of giants. In the center stood a broken machine, covered in dust and roots. Its surface was black metal, but beneath the grime, lines of light flickered faintly like a dying heartbeat. The soldier raised his lamp higher. "What is this?" he demanded. The mother's voice was quiet but steady. "A weapon," she said. "One my people swore never to awaken again." Her words sent a chill through the soldier's spine. He studied the machine, its silent form heavy with secrets. A weapon sleeping beneath the city, while war raged above. "Why show me this?" he asked sharply. The mother looked at her children first, then at him. "Because your commanders search for victory in fire and blood," she said. "If they find this, they will use it. No matter the cost," her voice cracked. "And if my people find it, they will do the same." She stepped closer to the machine, her hand trembling as it hovered near the surface. "But here, in this forgotten place, I have chosen to trust a human." The soldier's breath grew heavy. Trust, a word that felt dangerous here. He had been trained to destroy, to obey, never to trust the enemy. But the woman had not betrayed him yet. She had risked her life, her children's lives, to bring him here. Still, doubt gnawed at him, sharp as a blade. Was she showing him the truth or luring him to destruction? A sudden noise broke the silence, a low groan from the tunnels behind. The soldier raised his rifle at once, his heart pounding. The lamp flickered. Shadows leaping across the walls, the children cried softly. Clinging to their mother, she pressed them close, her eyes darting toward the sound. "They are coming," she whispered. Her voice was certain, cold with fear. The enemy had followed, the chase was not over. The soldier's mind raced. The tunnels twisted like a maze, but he knew the enemy would not stop until they were caught. The chamber became a trap, the weapon looming like a silent judge. His hands tightened on the rifle. They could fight here and die, or follow the tunnels deeper into the unknown. The mother stepped closer, urgency burning in her eyes. "There are more chambers below," she said. "Some paths lead to the old surface gates." Hidden from patrols, her voice was sharp, desperate. "If we move now, we live. If we wait, we die." The soldier glanced back at the machine one last time. Its lights pulsed faintly, as if listening, as if waiting for someone to wake it. He felt the weight of choice press down on him. If this weapon could end the war, should he not use it? But at what cost? How many lives would burn in the fire it released? The sound of boots echoed louder, closer. The soldier made his choice. "Go," he ordered, motioning them into the next tunnel. The mother hurried, pulling her children with her, their steps quick and frightened. The soldier followed, rifle ready, his lamp swinging shadows across the walls. Behind them, voices shouted, the enemy flooding into the chamber. The tunnel swallowed the sound as they ran deeper, deeper into the earth, deeper into secrets no human had touched. The soldier's breath burned in his chest. The children stumbled but kept moving, their small frames pushed forward by their mother's steady hand. The soldier glanced back once. The chamber was gone, the machine lost to the dark, but its faint glow stayed in his memory, a reminder that he had not just seen a secret, he had been given a choice, and choices were more dangerous than any weapon. The choice of humanity. The tunnels grew darker as they descended. The air was thick and heavy, each breath tasting of stone and dust. The soldier's lamp flickered, casting long, trembling shadows along the walls. The children clung to their mother's arms, their eyes wide and filled with fear. The soldier walked ahead, rifle raised, every step carrying the weight of a decision he could no longer avoid. The echoes of pursuit had faded, but silence brought no comfort. It only made the pounding in his chest louder. The mother kept close behind him, her voice low. "There is another chamber," she whispered, "one deeper than the last. It holds the core of what my people sealed away." Her words pressed against his mind like a storm. The soldier's jaw tightened. If what she said was true, then below them lay the power to end the war, but at what cost? He remembered the broken machine in the earlier chamber, its faint heartbeat of light. If that was only the beginning, what awaited them now? They reached a wide staircase carved into the stone. The steps were cracked, ancient, marked with strange glowing lines. At the bottom stretched a vast chamber larger than any cathedral. Its walls shimmered faintly, alive with symbols pulsing like veins of fire. And at the center stood a towering construct, a machine unlike anything the soldier had ever seen. Its surface glowed with dormant energy. Pillars of light rose from its sides, reaching into the darkness above. The soldier froze, breath catching in his throat. This was no weapon made for one battle. This was something built to shape the fate of entire worlds. The mother stepped forward slowly, her eyes filled with sorrow. "My people found this long ago," she whispered. "They swore never to awaken it. They knew it would not stop with soldiers. It would not stop with armies. It would burn the earth itself until nothing remained." The soldier gripped his rifle tighter. Every instinct screamed that this was power his commanders would kill for. If he returned and told them, the war could be ended in a single strike. No more fighting, no more losses, no more sleepless nights in broken shelters. But another voice inside him spoke, a quiet human voice. What would be left after such victory? Would humanity survive only as ashes among ashes? The mother turned to him, her face lit by the machine's glow. "I showed you this because you are not like the others," she said. "You opened your door when I begged for my children. You remembered mercy when the world forgot. Now you must choose." Her words cut deeper than any blade. The soldier looked at her children, their small frames trembling in the shadows. They were not soldiers, not enemies. They were simply lives trying to live, and he thought of his own people. The families who still waited for fathers, sons and brothers who would never return. What would they say if they knew the end of war sat in his hands, hidden beneath the earth? He stepped closer to the machine, its hum vibrating beneath his boots. The lamp flickered, but the machine glowed stronger, as if it felt his presence. Symbols across its surface came alive, threads of light racing like fire. The soldier raised his hand. If he touched it, if he awakened it, the war would end, but so would everything else. "Stop," the mother whispered sharply, her voice echoing in the chamber. "If you awaken it, there will be no tomorrow for anyone, human or alien. All will be the same, dust carried by the wind." Her plea pulled at him, but so did the hunger for an ending. The war had stolen everything from him. Could he truly walk away from a chance to stop it forever? The children's voices broke through the silence. They whispered softly in their language, clutching their mother's arms. The soldier did not understand the words, but he understood their meaning. They wanted to live, not in fire, not in silence, but in tomorrow. His hand shook as it hovered near the machine. His eyes burned with rage, grief, and doubt. His training told him to act, to seize any weapon that gave an advantage. But his heart told him that this was not a weapon. It was a curse, one that would destroy both sides, leaving no victor. He pulled his hand back, breath ragged. The machine pulsed once, then dimmed. As if waiting for another chance, the soldier stepped away, his voice low but firm. "No," he said. "I will not end the war like this." The mother's eyes glistened, relief flooding her face. She nodded slowly, her voice breaking. Then you have chosen to remain human. The soldier turned his back on the machine, but he knew the choice was not finished. Above, commanders demanded victory. Below, ancient power slept, waiting for someone less merciful, and caught between both. He carried the burden of a decision that could never be undone. The final night. The tunnels trembled with distant echoes. The soldier led the way upward, his lamp swinging shadows across the ancient walls. Behind him, the mother carried her children, their tired eyes glancing back at the darkness they had left behind. The machine still pulsed faintly in his memory, its glow burning in his thoughts. He had turned away, but its power followed him like a ghost. The air grew warmer as they climbed. Soon the stale breath of the tunnels gave way to the sharp scent of smoke from the ruined city above. When they emerged through a hidden stone gate, the night greeted them with silence broken only by the faraway hum of war machines. The stars stretched wide across the sky, cold and distant. For a moment the soldier felt small, a single man carrying a choice too large for any human. The children clung to their mother, whispering softly. The soldier scanned the empty street, rifle steady, his senses sharp. He knew patrols would return, searching every ruin. They had only moments before the hunt began again. The mother touched his arm, her eyes searching his. You chose not to awaken it, she said, her voice trembling between relief and fear. You chose mercy when all others would have chosen fire. The soldier looked away, his jaw tight. I chose life, he muttered. But mercy does not end wars. Her eyes lowered, sadness in her face. Maybe not, she whispered. But it can begin peace. Before he could reply, voices rose in the distance. Searchlights swept across the streets, shadows darting across the broken walls. The soldier pulled the family into a collapsed house, pressing them against the stone. The beams of light crawled closer. Boots thundered over rubble. The chase was not over. It would never truly be over. The mother's hand found his, gripping tight. Her children pressed close, trembling. The soldier's heart beat hard. His rifle heavy in his hands, he could fight, he could run. But either way, the enemy was closing in. He remembered the machine again, its glow waiting in the dark. One touch, one choice, and this would all be over. No more patrols, no more fear, no more hiding in shadows. But the faces of the children pulled him back. If he awakened it, there would be no tomorrow for them. No tomorrow for anyone. The voices drew closer, shouting commands. The soldier turned to the mother, his voice sharp but calm. You must take them, he said, pointing to a narrow path leading deeper into the ruins. You know the tunnels, you know the city. You can escape. Her eyes widened, shaking her head. And you? She asked, her voice breaking. He looked at her, his eyes hard but steady. I will hold them here. The children clung to her. Crying softly, the mother reached for him, desperation in her eyes. You will die, she whispered. The soldier gave a small, tired smile. Maybe, he said. But sometimes a human's duty is not to live, but to give others a chance. Tears filled her eyes as she pressed her forehead against his for a brief moment. Then she pulled her children close, guiding them toward the hidden path. The soldier watched them vanish into the shadows, their footsteps fading. For the first time since the war began, he felt something in his chest, not hope, but peace. The searchlight swept over the ruin. Catching his figure, shouts erupted, rifles raised. The soldier stepped forward, his own weapon steady in his hands. He stood tall in the broken street, a lone human against the dark tide. The night roared with fire and steel. But his thoughts were not on the battle. They were on the knock at his door, on the words whispered through the cold metal. Just one night. Feed my children. And on the choice he had made, the choice to open the door. The choice to remain human as the enemy closed in. The soldier's voice carried softly into the night. Mercy, he whispered, is the weapon they will never understand. And then the darkness swallowed him. But not his choice. That choice would live in the children who escaped, in the mother who remembered, and perhaps one day, in a world where war finally ended,